So what we're going to discuss here is the environment that we work in, our health centre. So as you can see, only one of the images there, we're inside a building. But a lot of the time we work within the environment. Richard's already explained the wakatete and the significance of the whare tapawha with the wakatete. But the whare tapawha is used with every activity that we do that's cultural. So when we're doing maurako, the whare tapawha, the taha tinana, it's all the physical activity that we're doing. The taha wairua, I explain the association between the atua, the rākau and ourselves, and also the whakawhanaungatanga of the men working together as a whānau, but also realising that not only do we have a relationship between each other, we also have a relationship with the rākaus that we use, because tāne mahuta is also the father of the forest, and also the feathers on the taiaha, because tāne mahuta is the father of the forest. So that's the taha wairua, and the taha hinengaro is learning all the different āhai, paua and karo associated with maurako. So during the whole process, the men learn about 15 different techniques, which it makes it relevant for their journey and health as well. For instance, whitiapu is rising of the sun, that's a technique. We tell our men that with each rising day, make a plan that's going to be simple for you to heal any relationship within your whānau. And then the end of the whitiapu technique is to the left. With the setting of the sun, leave yesterday behind you and look forward to a new day. So we use a lot of metaphor within the usage of maurako as well as teaching the whare tapawha, getting our men to engage. So our hope is that they go amongst their whānau and start to teach their whānaus something that's very traditional for ourselves. Also with the native kai, as Richard said earlier, we go out and who knows what that plant species is? You might recognise the European name as supplejack. Anyone heard of supplejack before? Pirita, we call it. So the pirita tree was used for making hinaki, clay pots, and it's also a very vital source of energy when you're out in the forest. If you've got no kai, find yourself 3 pieces of pirita and it will restore your energy. A lot of hunters today use it while they're out there hunting. And I think it was 2 cohorts ago, one thing I love to do is marakai, so I introduced that into the program as well. And so we showed them how to grow kumara, but not only to grow kumara, but also activating the whare tapawha again. Getting back our hands back into papatuanuku for the wairua, learning about rongo. Who knows who the god rongo is? None of the Māori speak, please. So rongo is the god of peace, but he's also the god of health. So he's very relevant for our journey within this kaupapa. But just to see the men see the end product of what they've actually grown with their own hands and taking it and transplanting it back into their own homes. Unfortunately, this garden, this is without a word of a lie, this was our second week into the program and we asked for a volunteer to give up their whare so that we could grow this garden, and one young gentleman said, yeah, come to my place. So we put this garden in, I think it was something like 50 kumara tipu. The next day he gets arrested. Yeah, the next day he got arrested and he was not allowed out of jail. So that was quite heartbreaking. But we tried to work with probations and they said no, because he had broke his conditions, that there was nothing that they could do. So what we had to do was the cousin he got into a fight with, who lived at the house as well, we went around and we asked him if we could still go in there and tend to this garden, and he was all for it. In fact, when Richard and I went around to see him, he was out there tending the garden already. So he already knew that he had to take responsibility for this garden. But before Tim, because that's another session that we use whare tapawha and aikido, but before I let Tim stand up, I'm just going to go through and talk about some of our atua Māori and why they're relevant for us. So the first 2 atua we talk about is Rangi and Papa. Does everyone know who they are? That's the Sky Father and our Earth Mother, eh? Not only do they teach us the basis of relationship, but they also teach us things that we're going through today. Rangi Nui, the Sky Father, is the god of grief. Why would he be grieving? Because of the separation from his wife. Kāpai. And Papa Tuanuku, his wife, she's the goddess of nurturing, because it was with her that all the children were left. So just in those two atua alone, we're learning so much about how we can behave. Because at the end of the day, we have an obligation to all these ancestors that have created us today. I always start our sessions with our men, and I'll look around and I see an empty seat, or I see an empty seat over there. I tell our men that those empty seats represent the whakapapa that does not exist today. And I instill in them that they are the elite of whakapapa. Because of their tupuna setting their path down for them, they are able to survive today. So that's why a lot of our kōrero Māori is relevant for this journey that we're taking. The other atua that we used, Richard's already told you about tāwhiri mātia and tāne. So when the separation was like this, when the primordial parents were joined, there was a big discussion about the parents being separated. Every single atua said, yeah, let's separate them except for one. And that one was the wind god, tāwhiri mātia, because he could see possible chaos happening if they separated the parents. But at the end of the day, Tāne Mahuta stood up, he separated his parents. And then Richard also said that he was given the honour of climbing to the highest heaven to attain the baskets of knowledge. And those for you who know my opening kōrero or karakia this morning was to acknowledge his journey up to the heavens to give us knowledge today. But Tāne knew, even though he was a god, he could not make that journey by himself. So he knew he would need help. Who did he go and see? The brother that he went against. The brother who said, no, don't separate our parents. He went and saw him and he said, brother, I need help to get up there and attain this knowledge. Because he knew that tāwhiri mātia was a loyal person. That's why he went and engaged him and asked him for help. So tāwhiri mātia said, yes, I will follow you on your quest. And in the Māori world, that's where we get knowledge from, is from their ascension up to the heavens to bring back down here and to plant it to Papa Tuanuku. But there are many of the gods that we use. Tūmātauenga, can anyone tell me who he was? Come on, Māoris. Who was Tūmātauenga? He was the god of war. But in our kaupapa, he's the god of planning and strategy. So the men have to plan and strategize for their own journeys ahead of them. We also use Ruaumoko. Ruaumoko is the god of earthquakes and volcanoes. So Ruaumoko is the unborn child. When the separation happened, he was unborn, so he's still in his mother's belly. But he's the anger that we feel when the earth starts to shake. In our kaupapa, he is the god of those unhidden urges that we have. So if we can conquer Ruaumoko, then we can appease him and keep him at bay. Whiro is one of the gods we talk about, not in a very kind sense. Whiro is the god of challenge and disease. So he's the actual opposite of rongo. Rongo is peace and health. Whiro is disease and challenge. So we teach our men that we have to do everything to keep him away from ourselves, to protect ourselves from whiro. And other gods that we use is Paia Te Rangi. Paia Te Rangi is the second to last born child. He is the god of empathy. And because he empathized with his unborn brother Ruaumoko, he went up to the heavens and he came down with 2 fire sticks, te ahi kōmau, so that his brother could keep himself warm. Because he empathized with his brother, not because he was trapped in his mother as well, but because he was one of the young. He was only a young boy, or a young atua, just like his baby brother. So our environment that we create to be a safe environment for our men all revolves around this, and teaching them the stories about who we are, our worldview. There's a thing, when I was going through studies, Moana Jackson, has anyone heard of him? Famous Māori lawyer, eh? He taught us 3 things. He taught us about colonisation, and that's where our worldviews are made to look like their superstitions, their myths, their legends, but for us they were very real. So after colonisation came assimilation. So that's when we had to start the urban drift and go out into the cities and start to live like non-Māoris. But the last part that's happening right now is called acculturation. Acculturation is when we become non-Māori. We start to adopt those views that aren't ours, those worldviews, those philosophies that do not belong to us. So one thing I teach our men is about kaupapa. Can anyone answer what kaupapa means? What's our kaupapa here today? Aira. The well-being of men. That's our kaupapa. But I turn it on its head and I teach our men that kaupapa means this. The K stands for knowledge. Hey, go out and learn whatever knowledge you want to learn, but make sure you learn it well. The A stands for analyse. Analyse that knowledge so that you have an understanding of what you've just been taught. So that's the KAU. The P stands for power. The power to push away any assumption, because you know that knowledge well enough that you don't need to assume. You already know. And that gives you the next P. That next P means you can create your own philosophies, your own worldviews, your own principles, your own tikanga, your own kawa. Hey, just as Richard explained to you earlier, not only does tikanga and kawa belong on the marae, we can make it relevant in our homes. We can make it relevant in our vehicles. We can make it relevant in our workplace. But you have to apply what you know. So the K is knowledge, the A is analyse, the U is understand, the P is power, the A is assumptions, to break them down, the P is philosophy, and the last A means you need to action what you know. It's no good knowing all the stuff if you're just going to sit at home and just let it rot. Hey, we need to get out there, we need to teach people that there are alternative ways to helping people. And that's why I love this program so much. That's why I have so much passion for this program, as we don't have a template we follow. We make it up as we go. Our program is not a generic program. We get a new cohort in and we have a kōrero and we decide who we're going to surround that cohort with. So we're very lucky in that sense that we're very flexible. It is a shame about funding and all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, we'll just keep doing what we do because we love it so much. We are underpaid, but how do you measure wairua? How do you measure someone's spirit? How can you measure spirit? Something that's intangible. We measure it by seeing our men enter our program like this, but by the end of the program, they're like this and they're proud, they're happy, they're ready to move forward in their lives. That's how we measure the wairua of our people. So for us, it's about uplifting whoever needs our assistance.